Hello everybody, CPU Nerd / Carnage here. Welcome back to my channel. Today is the second of 5 videos showcasing teams in the Trajann Legendary event. This video focuses on a trio of characters you can use to simultaneously tackle the No Bolter, Min 3 hits, and chain restrictions in the Gamma track against the Genestealer Cults and the Tyranids. Those characters are Ragnar, Nicodemus, aka Nico, and Wrask. A quick reminder that if you find this content useful, entertaining, mildly enraging, etc., please consider subscribing and watching the full video, since that's what the YouTube heretic gods have deemed necessary. Also consider using my refer a friend code in-game, as it really helps me out. Let's dive in. Everybody, welcome back. So today our task for the Trajann Legendary event is to see how far a Gold 1 Ragnar, a Gold 1 Wrask, and a Gold 1 Nico can go. So as you can see, these are all at either Epic 1 Red Star, or Ragnar is Legendary 3 stars because he's a legendary character. They all have level 35 abilities, and they all have Epic 9 equipment. Now, I'm going to be honest with you, the actual task here today was to test out how far these three can get if Rask was actually only at Silver 1, not at Gold 1. And I'm a little embarrassed to say I could only do 4 reliably. I tried 5 3 or 4 times and had issues with it, so I didn't bother putting it here. But I figured that I would talk about the setup that we have now, go over the characters, and talk about some of the strategy, because you're using these characters primarily to accomplish 3 restrictions in the Gamma track, if I'm not mistaken. So let's talk about Ragnar first. People should be pretty familiar with him because he's a raid character. So he has an active that gives a significant damage boost to all characters with only melee attacks, and he also increases his crit chance, or everybody's crit chance. Now this only lasts for 1 turn, and it doesn't end Ragnar's turn, so he can use War Howl and then attack somebody. And his passive just allows him to deal extra damage when he charges. Um, to be honest, he's a fantastic raid character. He's still a staple on 2 of the raid teams right now, the multi-hit team and the rapid assault team / custodes team. But he's a pretty terrible horde mode character. He can only kill 1 unit per turn. He's not exceptionally tanky. He doesn't self-heal. So yeah, this is going to be a fun little task. Now, Nico is a great horde mode character. He has rapid assault, so as long as you don't attack with him, he actually has movement 4 and can just fly around the battlefield. And his passive regenerates a decent amount of health. It's not crazy. It's probably about 1/6 of the health of any unit at an equal level, but it's helpful if your units aren't getting absolutely bombarded, but instead they're just getting like slowly whittled down. And this affects all adjacent units. It does not affect himself. So what you will typically see people do is Nico will heal himself and then kind of be turtled in somewhere adjacent to somebody else who's also taking a pounding, and then that person gets passively healed. Or Nico will actually tank, and then the person might be a ranged damage dealer behind Nico. And then lastly, we have Rask. Now, it's worth mentioning, I personally think Rask is a great horde mode character. I think that he can be exceptional if you know how to use him. Now, the problem is he's exceptional when paired with other chaos characters, and that's primarily because his passive, for whatever reason, Snowprint has decided, and they said this in an interview, that one of the alliances had to be the bad guys, and that's chaos. So a lot of chaos abilities only affect other chaos units, and his passive is exactly one of those. So whenever he whenever he comes in from deep strike, or he defeats a unit, or defeats, yeah, either an enemy character or an enemy NPC, he gets a shield. And that shield is actually pretty good. It doesn't have any armor, but it does have about 1/3 the health of an equally leveled character, maybe even closer to 1/2. So it can be really useful, and he gives that shield to all adjacent chaos units. So in a typical horde mode scenario, like I forgot who it was, I think it's Lucian who has the Terminator, but only chaos restriction. He's perfect for that because he's going to absolutely boost survivability. Okay, so we've talked about the characters long enough. Let's go ahead and get into the battles.
This is battle 6, which is already a little scary, but one thing you can see here is that there's a patch of tall grass on the right. This is actually where you want to take your characters. The reason being that there are 7 or so barbgons that come out fairly early on. And if you stay in the tall grass and keep away from other Tyranids, especially from Tyrannid warriors, you actually really increase your survivability by staying in the tall grass. So I tried to put Wrask up top to let him hopefully take somebody out, raise his shield, and then soak up the damage from the Barbgaunts. And I oftentimes didn't attack with Ragnar. Nico just heals the entire time. He rarely gets in an attack. But I oftentimes didn't even attack with Ragnar because at first what I was trying to do is draw enough enemies down and then hopefully lure them down to the south to just keep picking them off there. This strategy works kind of. At some point, you do have to start focusing on the Tyrannid warriors that come out, because if you know anything about Barbgons, as soon as somebody is in synapse range, they score extra hits, and if they're adjacent to a Tyrannid, they score extra hits. So once those warriors start getting in close, that's actually a really good time to use War Howl and then go after them. As you can see, by sticking to the tall grass and then just being resilient, making sure you don't attack with Nico, just heal, this battle is fairly straightforward. 7 took me so many attempts to figure out a good strategy. I figured that you always wanted this bridge because it's going to limit the number of enemies that can attack you. And I wasn't quite sure if I wanted Ragnar up top or Nico up top, but what I found is that because of the barbed wire, Rrask, or sorry, not Nico up top, but Rrask. Rrask is able to take out enemies pretty reliably. But if you keep taking out everybody, what's going to happen is that eventually he's going to get swarmed by Tyranids, and that means that when the Barbgons come out, they're going to be able to score extra hits against him. So what I did was actually picked off the early waves and then let the enemy come south and have Ragnar start picking them off. And Rrask just stopped attacking. Like, he couldn't raise his shield, but it didn't matter. What we were doing is prepping for those 2 silver tube Barbgons that come out towards the end. Once they got into range, Ragnar had to make his way over and then take them out. He was probably not going to survive the entire battle because he was going to get separated. I thought it was important to keep Nico and Wrask together, but Ragnar was able to get over, knock out the Barbgons, and then once the Barbgons are gone, the battle is essentially over. Wrask and Nico were never in danger of dying at that point. So there you have it. A gold 1 Ragnar, Nico, and Wrask can clear Battle 7. I think this is actually pretty good since I set the 5-unit gold 1 bar at Battle 8. And yes, I did attempt Battle 8, but the map makes it difficult, not to mention the absolute swarm of Barbgons you have to face right out of the gate. Regarding the following videos, I intend to get them out over the next 5 nights or so. So come on back and let's see how far some other teams can get in this event.